So today I'm going to be talking about the books I finished in January of 2020. I almost said 2021. January 2021. No, it would be 2021. Oh, so stupid. So I'm probably not going to be saying the name of the author for all the books, but I will be putting the books up off to the side so that way you can kind of see the cover and the author and the title of the book. I am not going to go in any particular order. I am going to go in category of like physical, audio, and graphic novel or manga. And with that, read a synopsis that's more than likely going to be from the book itself. I'm not very good at summarizing, and there might be a couple adjustments in it, in some of them, but other than that, they're just pretty much what is in the synopsis for the book. And then I'll give my star rating, and after that I will just give a short what I thought of it kind of thing. So the first category I'm going to start with is going to be audiobooks. And the first audiobook I finished for January is Queen of Air and Darkness. The Dark Artifices is a sequel to The Immortal Instruments. So this book takes place about 5 years after everything that went down in the main series, which is The Immortal Instruments. Emma Carstairs is the main protagonist, and she is no longer a child mourning the death of her parents. And in this book, she's on a journey to find who or what killed her parents and to avenge them, essentially. So for this book, I gave it 3 stars. This book was pretty good, but it wasn't my favorite. I'm more into the Infernal Devices series. That one's still my favorite. My opinion is probably not very popular because a lot of people really loved this trilogy. For me, it just was a little slow at times, and I don't know, I just didn't tend to like the characters that people loved. The only characters, well, I wouldn't say only, but the characters that I really liked were Kai and Tai and Kai. They were definitely my favorite. I like their story arc a lot more. I'm kind of disappointed of where it left off with them. I hope that it kind of dives deeper with them, but if it doesn't, then that's what it is, you know? So the second book that I finished was Animal Farm. And I think the synopsis for this one just explained it so well, better than I ever could explain it. So what it says, I'm just going to read it off of here. It says, a farm is taken over by its overworked, mistreated animals with flaming idealism and stirring slogans. They set out to create a paradise of progress, justice, and equality. Thus, the stage is set for one of the most telling satiric fables ever penned, a razor-edged fairy tale for grown-ups. So it's just, that's what it is. It follows these Animal Farm characters, and they're overworked and they rebel, which is, the story was just really good. It's just symbolism for real life problems, but it's, I don't know, I don't want to say it's dumbed down, it's more of just simplified in a way to show that you get what I'm saying. Simplified to show more. So I give this one 3 stars. So I actually really liked this book. I had listened to 1985 by George Orwell, and that one I found it really fascinating, but when it came to Animal Farm, I absolutely I liked it a whole lot more. It's definitely not my favorite book in the world, but it's very fascinating in just the storytelling aspect and the way it's told. I will admit at some points it is kind of slow in the story, but the overall story makes up for it. So I really enjoyed it. So next up is Rise of Kyoshi. So this one was one that I was kind of back and forth on whether or not I wanted to partake in the story, you know? I have always really liked Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I was just never sure whether or not I wanted to dive into the side stories like the comics and the books and all that stuff, but it ended up being free on the Audible app, so I decided to give it a try, and I'm glad I did because I ended up really liking it. The Rise of Kyoshi follows Kyoshi, the avatar from the Earth Kingdom. She is the longest living avatar in the beloved world's history. Kyoshi established the beloved and brave Kyoshi warriors. Warriors. The Rise of Kyoshi maps her journey of a girl from humble beginnings to a merciless pursuer of justice, who is still feared and admired for centuries after she became the Avatar. So I gave this one 3 stars. The Rise of Kyoshi was very nostalgic for me. As a child, I really loved watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, and even now, my husband and I love to rewatch it every once in a while. This book was really fun because we get to see references from the show every once in a while, even though it is a prequel. Just being able to get deeper into the world is just really amazing and fun, and I am happy to go on to the next one. So that is it for all of the audiobooks, and next I'm going to go on to the comics and manga section. So the first comic that I finished was Happiness Volume 2. And for this one, because it is Volume 2, I'm going to go into the synopsis of Volume 1, just so that way it's not giving any spoilers away, and it makes a little more sense. I apologize if I butcher characters' names. I am just absolutely horrible with names, so please do forgive me. So nothing ever interesting happens for Makito Ozaki. Nothing interesting ever happens for Makito Ozaki in his first year of high school. His life is a series of quiet humiliations. One night, a pale, thin girl knocks him to the ground and gives him a choice. Now everything is different. Daylight is searingly bright, food tastes awful, and worse than anything is terrible consuming thirst. The tiny shames of his old life are replaced by 2 towering horrors. The truth of what will slack his terrible thirst, and high school itself. It sounds really funny. Like, the way I read that, we'll move on. So I gave this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. Obviously all of the audiobooks that I did, I only give them around 3 stars. There are different kind of variations of 3 stars. Some are lower 3 stars, some are higher 3 stars, but overall 3 stars. But this one is 4 stars. I definitely enjoyed it. It was just a fun read. I mean, who doesn't love a book about vampires? Now, with that being said, the manga didn't have like an overpowering sense of vampires. We probably get to see a vampire near the end, which is not that horrible because the story itself kept me going. It was just kind of gripping and I wanted to know what happened next, so I'm still excited to move on. As I said, I've gotten to the second volume, and I'm excited to keep going. Next is I Am a Hero. The zombie apocalypse is here and has never been more surreal. A mentally unhinged manga artist is witnessing the beginning of an outbreak in Tokyo, and he's certain of only 2 things. He's destined to be the city's hero, and he possesses something pretty rare in Japan, a firearms. So for this one, I also gave it 4 stars. This one probably was my favorite read of the month. It was so fun. It might even be 5 stars, to be honest. But it takes a lot for me to give something 5 stars, so 4 stars for now, until I decide later. It was just so fun. You don't really get to see really any zombie happenings until maybe middle of the book. With that being said, it's very character driven, and the character himself, I love him. He is absolutely wonderful. He keeps the story going, and he's just so interesting. For this one, I didn't ever read a synopsis for it, so I wasn't really sure what I was expecting, but what I did get, I am very pleasantly surprised. It was amazing. So the next is a comic that I read, and the comic is, I believe it's called Zero, A Nightmare for Christmas Tale, or something similar to that. So the synopsis reads, when Jack Skellington's fateful pet Zero goes missing, the ghost pup must get help from the citizens of Christmas Town to find his way back. But Halloween plans get on hold while Jack mounts a search. Will they be reunited in time to save both holidays? So for this one, I gave it 3 stars, and this is more of like a lower 3 stars. I was a little disappointed with the story because I am a very big fan of A Nightmare Before Christmas. I feel like it was aimed more towards a middle school age group for the entertainment value. With that being said, it's not a bad comic, it just wasn't what I was expecting or wanting, so I couldn't rate it too high. I was definitely expecting more just because of the great story of Night Before Christmas. It definitely has its own story and vibe about it, but at the end of the day, it was really nice for a nostalgic read, and I don't regret reading it, but I'm not sure if I'll continue on with the series. And last but not least, I have Farmhand, and this was a comic. Jedediah Jenkins is a farmer, but his cash crop isn't corn or soy. Jed grows fast-growing plug-and-play human organs. Lose a finger? Need a new liver? He's got you covered. Unfortunately, strange produce isn't the only thing Jed's got buried. Deep in the soil of the Jenkins family's farm, something dark has taken root, and it's beginning to bloom. So for this one, I give it 3 stars. Honestly, it could probably be 4 stars. I might change it just because as I'm speaking about it now, it definitely feels like it deserves 4 stars. So this one was a pleasant surprise. I was expecting something a lot darker, but when I opened the comic pages, I noticed that the pages were super vibrant and the artwork was just a lot more cartoonish, I guess I would say. It was really nice, and it still had that dark aspect because, I mean, it's body parts growing out of the ground, but it wasn't in the fact of like gore. It was more playful dark, if that makes sense. So it was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting it. The story itself was very interesting and gripping, and it's something that I would consider very original. I haven't really heard of a story like this before. I definitely want to continue on just because I am very intrigued and I want to know what happens next. Okay, So that's it for my books of 2021 for January. I hope that you liked the video and that you'll keep watching. Thanks, bye!